Previously on Oldish.
Like, we were texting on something, and then you just put the phone to call me about it.
Yeah.
And, I saw the phone, like, light up in your name, and I'm like, I had that old, and it wasn't you. It's just that, like, trigger of, like, the phone. And then I was like, this is not, what are you doing? Like, this isn't about him.
And then we had a great phone conversation.
Yeah, and then I picked the phone, and then we'd be talking, and I'm like, felt so good about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the question. What feels unsafe about confrontation?
Unsafe.
That is a good question.
Oldish, the show where age-old questions meet new-age answers. With your hosts, Randy Spelling, Brian Austin Green, and Sharna Burgess.
What feels unsafe about confrontation?
This goes back to childhood. Like, it really, and not that anyone ever put it on me, but I took it in that we did grow up in a house where it's wild because kids now, like, I say to my kids all the time, I hear myself saying this, I never spoke like that to my parents. And, like, and as I am friends with my kids, and look at me justifying it. And I know people say you can't be friends with your kid. I am friends with my kids. I like my kids, and we have open lines of communication. But there are times when I'm like, okay, this is something I'm saying to you, and I am the authority in the house. And if I want you to take out the trash, I want you to do this, it's
you need to do it.
But growing up, and we were never told not to speak a certain way to our parents, but it was just a different time?
I don't think that's true, though. I think we certainly were.
Nice.
We were raised. We had my mom, our mom, our dad, and then we had Nan. Her name was Margaret, and Nelia. Remember Nelia? Who, by the way, Instagrammed me.
What?
We were in. Yeah. I'll tell you that. That was very interesting. But I think also the generation that we were was different. I mean, we were the children of mom, the boomer generation, and just a different way of parenting and kids. And so I think we were raised in a way to have manners. I mean, how many times do you and I say please and thank you?
Morally, you two are incredible that way. That's what we've been talking about. You go above and beyond to the point where you put your own feelings aside to make sure that everybody else feels okay and feels loved and appreciated and all that.
Right. Someone will bump into you at the supermarket and you'll apologize.
Right.
But
I still do that at the mall. Like, I'll clear the path from someone just walking this way. Like, okay, they should. And then, but I always comment in my head afterwards, like, well, that's not fair. Why did I have to move so they could walk forward? They could have split the difference. So I beat myself up about it. So instead of just changing it, I should just change it. But yeah.
Yeah, so
I had friends growing up, and so did you, that I would go to their house and I'd be like, oh, this isn't how it is in our house. So it is a generation, but also, they would speak, their parents, and they would speak more like equals, but they felt like they were allowed to have a voice. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying that we were told not to have a voice, but perhaps it was the world we were brought into, and always going back to when you were saying, like, we went to Chasen's and everyone was looking, and we were on display a little bit, not by our parents, but by the world. And just like we were as well. Yeah. Like, it all connects back. But so I just it was ingrained in me that I was, you speak when you're spoken to, you're polite, you don't have a voice.
Yeah, and I think, in terms of confrontation, again, a different time, a different generation, but we didn't heavily go into things. Like, you hear families, they'll yell and they'll scream, and then, they're all breaking bread together.
Right.
I think there was a lot of subtext to to conversations. There was a lot of maybe just shutting down or keeping it in or passive aggressive. And I think we have all gotten better at that, but it is a work in progress, right? I think it's definitely
nice. He's gotten better at it. I'm still working on it.
No,
but it's a nice that you deserve.
Yeah, it's nice that you deserve it. And
it's like noticing that you do something and making a decision of like, I'm done doing this and I'm going to make a change. That is, and people joke about it like, oh, the first step is, like understanding that there's the problem.
Right.
Absolutely. That is the first step.
That is the first step.
If you
awareness.
if you do not like find the awareness in the fact that something is a problem, then what do you work on? Like you have to really get to the point where you look at yourself and you go, I just don't want to do that anymore. I'm done with that. Like I'm not the kid that has to, protect themselves or put up walls or do things to survive. Like you have kids now. You have kids that are looking to you to see the example of who they should be in the world. And it's a big responsibility. Like I have the view, and it might be wrong. And you tell me if it is, because I would have no problem hearing that. Like you could soften up on that a little bit, but I honestly have the view of I love my kids and I love the fact that we're friends, but my job is not to be their friend. They're going to have friends throughout their lifetime, different people that are going to come and go and do things. My job ultimately is to be their parent.
Totally.
And sometimes that means that I'm going to tell them to do things that they don't want to do. Like, I'm going to be the bad guy in situations. I'm going to have to like put my foot down on things, and we're going to bump heads a little bit. But I'm okay with that, because to me, I want to raise people that can then go out into the world and do things on their own. Like that, it's a huge responsibility to me. And you're constantly giving Sharon and I really great things to try and ways of like, you've given us tips on like the holidays and Christmas morning and things to do where it's like, oh, this is a great way to connect as a family without me losing the parenting within it. It's like, I still as a parent, I'm going, okay, you guys, Christmas morning, we'll open up a couple things. Now everybody put on your shoes. We're going to go for a walk. And it's like, we're not talking about it. This is what we're doing. Okay. And then we'll go back in and, hey, let's open up a couple more things and then let's go have breakfast. Again, this is what we're doing. We're not talking about this. Like this is, and I think it's important to have those things. And for you now with the kids, it better late than never to
True.
like realize things and go, you know what? This is not the example that I want them to see, and this is not the person that I want to be.
Yeah, I also think it's really important for kids to see us grow and change and work on things. I think it's vital.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens is when we come out of kidhood, childhood, and start to become a teen, and then really it starts to happen at like 16, 17, 18, 20. When you understand the world a little bit more, your parents fall from grace. It's like these people that I thought were all of this, you realize, and that's when, a lot of people end up going to therapy and stuff.
I put my parents on a major pedestal when I was younger, and I think for me, it's that thing that we talk about all the time of like, that generation, they weren't so open to being human and making mistakes in front of their kids. Like I don't have a ton of memories of my parents saying, I'm sorry for stuff. If they would blow up, they'd get frazzled during the day. There'd be things that parents go through, but then they would just like kind of come out of it and they'd sweep it under the rug and they'd move on with the day and feel like, the kids are fine. And it's like, I think it's important to, when you have those moments, have them, but then be human afterwards and apologize and talk about it and go, I'm so sorry that I spoke to you that way. Right. I was feeling really stressed out. I was really tired. Like, I was just frustrated from stuff that had gone on before. You guys didn't do anything. It wasn't your fault. I'm so sorry if it hurt your feelings. because then kids start realizing like, okay, so it's okay to have these feelings, but it's how you deal with them afterwards.
Exactly. It's that's what you're modeling.
You're showing the example of like, this is how you, as you know, as a like a conscious human being and a responsible human being, deal with things. You don't ever mean to hurt anybody's feelings. There are no malicious intents behind what it is you're doing. But sometimes emotions and the day and stress and life gets the best of you. It just does.
It sure does.
Sure does. It's interesting because whereas I don't have in the past, I have not had a voice. That is one area, while I wouldn't advocate for myself, my kids I would. So if there was a situation and we were out, that little girl voice wasn't there. It was my big, bold voice, because I was like, whoa, 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 this is injustice for my children and I need to step up and handle the situation. That I do. But
you don't set the example of doing it for yourself.
Correct. So,
which is in my opinion, it's an important one.
It's so important because they've seen so much.
Well, and they're not going to be able to, when they're older in life, be able to sit back and trust that mom is going to say and do these things for me, and they're going to protect me. But then, because they haven't had the example of it, they're not going to know how to do it for themselves.
But yes. I mean, there's so many things to protect them from that perhaps other people don't have to deal with.
Sure.
And you guys know this well. Like, it's, that exterior. So, for instance, sorry, I'm going to go back, but my oldest Liam has taken on, and he didn't used to be like this, but I think, and this is going back to nature versus nurture, it's not nature that makes him kind of, he was strong by nature, and then nurture made him softer. He says, I'm sorry, after everything. And I'm like, we're working on that and doing therapy and really I'm making a conscious effort to not beat myself up, because I'm like, I want to say, I'm sorry, I did this to you. Like, you heard it so many times that it just started, he feels so guilty for things that his friend group, making sure they're okay. Same thing that I used to do. And then, so that's my 17-year-old, and my 6-year-old Stella will be out, and something will happen, and she'll look at me, and because she is so strong, so whereas I'm saying I'll advocate for my children, she has kind of switched that role, and she goes above them. She'll be like, they can't talk to me that way, and she'll go at them. And I'm like, whoa, you got to be kind to people. And she's like, she's mentioned that my vision of kindness sometimes is different than just speaking up for yourself. Mm-hmm. She's like, I didn't say anything that wasn't kind, but I'm not going to back down on something that I believe in or that I feel this was an injustice. And I'm like, wow, very wise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and your version
being
of kind.
Passionate doesn't mean that you are unkind.
Right.
But also if someone says, like, we were at 7-Eleven, and she didn't like the way that the guy, spoke to her. And she went toe-to-toe with him. And I was like, no, they might know who we are. And I'm like, what am I doing? And she's like, Mom, I'm standing up for myself. He shouldn't have treated me like that. And I had to, I still go back to that one and think, gosh, what was I doing? I was too concerned in the moment about like people around or what they'd be like, it's Tori Spelling's kid. Oh my gosh, it's going back to old habits. Instead of standing back and being like, I don't have to interject. She's 16, she's advocating for herself, and she's doing a really great job. She was eloquent, she was nice, but she was powerful. Mm-hmm. And I take a lot of inspiration from her. She's super powerful. I'm like, okay, I need a little bit more of that. Like learning from your 6-year-old at 51. But
that's fine.
I learn from my kids all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned from my 2-year-old. Like,
right.
It's there to me. It's The worst is when you reach the age of 51 and you go, I can't teach an old dog new tricks. Like I'm settled in who I am and this is just the way I am. It's like that's the beginning of the end. Like that at the point when you're not willing to grow or like internalize anything anymore and think and push yourself and push the boundaries.
With everything. I mean, there's fixed
done.
mind and then there's open mind. And I think with politics, I think with any stance you have, people are going to view things differently than you. You both remember the same thing that was said in two different locations. Mm-hmm. Everyone's going to have their viewpoint. But the thing is have an open mind enough to say, hey, I can change. I can view things differently. And I want to go back to something you said because I thought it was really interesting. You said, I didn't have a voice, right? I want to make a distinction. I haven't, in the past, I didn't have a voice, right?
I think I corrected myself.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You did. Yeah.
But this is where, now that we get older, we get to reshape, because I heard you talking about this, we get to retell our story. We get to reshape what it is. And there is such a difference. First, it's awareness. It's being aware. Your narrative is, I didn't have a voice. And then you get to change that to, I wasn't aware that I had the voice that I have. Because your voice was always there.
Right. I wasn't aware that I didn't have a voice at that point. Like I was just sort of in it going, oh, this is, you don't know anything's wrong necessarily.
Right. Well, it's like, if someone were to say, if someone were to say, I didn't have a voice, and a lot of time we go to therapy, right? And in therapy, you're like, I didn't have a voice, and this happened, and that happened, and it was something that your environment, the people in your environment made you feel a certain way, right? But then the narrative is like, I don't have a voice. I didn't have a voice. I didn't have a voice. And when the brain hears that so much, it's like, I didn't have a voice. And you stifle yourself even in ways right now. But if you change it to, I didn't use my voice in the way that I wanted. I didn't express myself the way that I can now. Then you get to take back your power, which I know is something that you're doing, to be able to embody that voice that you have always had in different ways. Because you cannot sit here and tell me that you didn't have a voice, because I've seen you use your voice in ways that are incredibly powerful, incredibly strong, creative. You get shit done when you want to get things done. So you have that voice.
You do. I told you this before on the phone. I was like, I'm tired of seeing this Tori. Like, I want you to do what I know you can do, which you can literally do anything you put your mind to. I've seen it. But I think it's like taking ownership of the things that you do, and instead of constantly blaming everybody else, because that's the easier thing to do, to, like you said, I didn't have a voice. It's like, no, I did. I just didn't fucking use it. Like, I just didn't do as much as I could have in that moment. And being aware of that, then that becomes the catalyst for the change. But you have to have, we talk about this with therapy. Like, it's easy to go into therapy at first because you're hitting pillows and you're pointing to all the people that have wronged you in life and all the things that you went through. And, oh, my mother didn't love me and my father said this. And that's the fucking easy part. Anybody can do that. It's easy to go in and point fingers, but the hard part is to then go, okay, I'm done with that. Now I'm going to point the finger at myself and go, okay, so now what do I do? What do I do that I no longer like about myself? Like, what do I want to fix and change? Because I can no longer blame them. I'm now 51. 51. Like, I can't blame my parents for the way they spoke to me, which was the best that they could do at the time. Like, I, at some point, have to come to peace with that and then go, okay, that's not an excuse. It's not fucking cute. Like, I'm not a kid anymore. I can't just lean on that and go, oh, well, that's, and expect that everybody's going to be like, oh, he had a really tough time when he was young, so that's why he's, all over the place emotionally. It's not fucking acceptable. Not at 51. Not at 41. Like,
I agree with you. I don't actually think that I do that, though. I don't believe that I blame. I mean, there's situations when we're talking that I'll bring up stories or something, but that's more of a catch up or just a friend talk. Like,
right.
But I'm just rethinking, like going in the past when I've gone to therapy. I don't typically, even back then, blame. I put more blame on myself.
I was just going to ask, are you able to have compassion for yourself?
Yeah.
No.
Do you ever let yourself off the hook for things?
No. So it's not like I never sat in therapy saying, I blame my dad, I blame my mom, I blame, someone at work. I would always just be like,
blame yourself.
This is, me. It was always, I do this, I do that, and I don't know why. Like, So it's, the awareness has been there. And the real active awareness, I would say, has been there for like 20 years. It's just whether I have chosen to allow myself to execute the moving on of having my voice. Does that make sense? I just got a little voice saying that, and because I was like, oh. And this is what we were talking about. So I just had this moment where I'm like telling the story, and that I was like in it, I'm just passionate, and then I had that outside moment where I was able to.
How is this being perceived?
Perceived,
right?
And then I started to go like
internalize, right?
What? Oh my gosh! All of a sudden, I was telling them,
They're
and I'm just
judging
talking,
Right.
and then all of a sudden, no, it's my thing. Yeah, I guess, but it's my thing. I was just like, wait, did that just sound like I don't know what I'm talking about? Am I, how do I sound? Am I smart? What? And then, as you could tell, the very end of my sentence trailed off into a little voice.
I wish you truly knew how powerful it is for people to sit and hear you say the things that you're saying, because they're fucking real and they're human. And the people that are judgmental of that, fuck them. You don't want them anywhere near your life anyway. What you want is you want to inspire people. And the way you inspire people, I believe, is by showing your truth and being fucking honest and leading by example and going, hey, I'm fucked up. Let's be fucked up together and let's get through this. Not like, oh, I've got to make sure that I say the right things, or, or people are going to judge you. It's so beautiful to sit where I am right now and hear you speaking the way you are. And it kills me, the thought that you would internalize for a minute and worry about what anybody else thinks, because you are an amazing human being. Amazing.
I can't take compliments. Can you stop
now? No.
Is it uncomfortable?
I can't. You're
I'm
gonna have to. You're doing great.
Thank you.
There's another compliment.
There you go.
And scene.
Right.
And now Tori can breathe. Right.
I was thinking about this too. I didn't know all the areas that we were going to go today. I had some things in my mind, and we talked about a couple things, but to have two men in front of you who have known you so long, who are your cheerleaders and do believe in you, and hopefully reflect back to you who you are and how you are in a more accurate way than how you sometimes view yourself. Is it weird? Is it uncomfortable?
Is it helpful?
Is it cool?
What? How has this experience been for you so far? And I know that's
she's like, I'm going to need some wine after today.
Right. Bar's open. It's happy hour right now.
Again, another thing I put on myself, but it's also a learned behavior through seeing what your family does as you're raised, is I always, again, let me preface this, no one told me this, but I grew up thinking showing emotion, crying was a sign of weakness. So I repressed everything. But point being, when you said that, I started to tear up. I mean, it's just a tiny one. It's like I can feel the water a tiny bit right here on my eyeball. But yeah. Yeah, it feels really nice. If you guys could just like spend like maybe even a week with me, just one-on-one, I might be a changed human. Yeah.
I mean,
that was an invitation. I mean, no one here has the time.
Brian and Randy boot camp.
Oh my gosh! Wait.
Yeah.
Oh, oldish boot camp. I'll sign
Oldish
up.
boot
I'll be the first person.
I mean, what I'm touched by.
That's a TV show. Sorry.
Oldish boot camp.
Oh, here we go. Oldish boot camp.
Here we go.
Yeah. Between the three of us.
But I love that your brain works that way because it's actually
Tori's
a good
like,
idea.
okay, I'm going to spin
Oldish
this.
boot camp. Let's go. Yeah.
What I'm touched by is to hear both of you talk out something where you said in your relationship you won, right? You're close now, you're talking, but in that 18 years of not communicating, to actually talk about that. And I'm all for having more conversations like this with people, uncomfortable conversations. There are a couple times I'm like, okay, this is a little bit uncomfortable, right? That confrontation. Mm-hmm. But also working through that and going, there's enough love here, and that's the safety part. Like, it is safe to confront sometimes in the right setting, in the right atmosphere, and know that you can get through that there is a side to get to together.
Fuck, it's safe to be emotional because you're not being emotional for other people. Like, I'm being emotional for me. So if something touches me, like, I can cry about it and be like, I don't need your validation or your opinion on what it is I'm feeling in the moment. I'm literally just feeling it for me, completely selfishly. I don't care how it's viewed by anybody else. But to me, that's what makes it strong, is that I am not thinking of anybody else when I'm having a feeling or I'm connecting in some way. Like, to me, I'm empowering myself. I'm being true to myself. I'm being honest with myself in a moment. Right. And, and we go through those things sometimes, but I love the fact that I can do that. I love the fact that, like, I can watch movies or, like, read like a greeting card or something and fucking cry. I love that I can do that.
It's bad over here. I took my kids, I told you, the first movie that they have seen in a movie theater
ever.
Inside Out 2.
Inside Out 2? Oh, yeah, you must have cried like a baby.
Like 6 different times.
Inside Out 2
sitting
is
there
a rough
and
one. Yeah, totally.
I'm totally going through it.
Have the same experience.
No. So what would happen if you remember you said, I don't know if is it true? Did you feel tears come up?
Yeah.
Like, what would happen if you actually didn't repress that?
Good question.
Like, what does that feel like if you would allow that to come up?
I'm sure it would feel good, which is why I know everyone's like, oh, my coping skills in the past, I'm working on, being versatile, because I am. And it's okay to be vulnerable and be smart. I'm learning that.
Do those get crossed that you can't be vulnerable and smart?
Like, do you think it's mutually exclusive? Like, it's either one or the other? You can't be both?
At times I have felt like I couldn't be. It was like, no. But that's also conditions use it so often. But from growing up, that's one component. Being on camera and a female, like in the 90s, like another component. Because you learn what works to get you by. And what you think how to navigate, like, okay, if I act like this is what's safe, I guess, but also acceptable in this phase of my life, childhood. In this phase of my life with 90210, I learned quickly, like, well, one, I was always kind and respectful, but I went overboard, like just being really nice. I swear I have like jaw problems to this day from just like the permagrin, like because I was like I always had to be
all the
smiling.
Scars from like biting the inside of your cheek as you're like trying to make sure that you smile.
Yeah. Smile, because if you didn't smile for 1 second, something's wrong
Right.
or
Right.
you're
God forbid
mean.
something's wrong.
Or then
Right.
you're a bitch if you don't smile and you're
Yes, and that I was so worried about that being the perception. But also, I found, it was a different time, but it was easier to figure out how to get what you wanted to achieve and to get across if you did it in the way that worked in context. So, in context for 90210, I would giggle, I would be cute, I could be sexy, and that worked. And then I'd be funny. And everyone responded to when I was funny. So it was like, oh, I'm a cute, funny girl. Okay. And you're quirky, people would say. And I'd be like, okay. Lead with that. And so I learned to navigate through that as I got older by repressing the part where, it's okay to have quiet moments and be vulnerable and speak, and you can be, there is a sensitivity that you do have that people might like to hear, and it might be worth something to them. So I would repress that. So I always say my coping skills are comedy, and you've noticed a couple times today that and I'm trying real hard not to do it today. But whenever I can, I can make a joke. I throw in a joke because it's my way of kind of navigating.
It's an easy
the
way of
situation.
deflecting and then moving.
And I'm good at it.
Right.
And it's something that I said I was good at something. So see,
there you go.
Which I don't do that often, but that's one area that I know I'm good at. So yeah, I'm trying to remind myself that I had to wait. I couldn't get the word out that I am smart. I'm still looking away. I'm looking at non-existent something in the corner of the room.
It's realizing that you are good at other things too.
Yeah.
That it's not just, oh, I'm funny, and so that's what I'm good at, so let me just do that. It's
Right.
like, no, let's focus on being good at being whole, like doing all of it. Being funny and witty, but then also being really connected with someone and putting that stuff away for a little while and really being it's an amazing skill. And I know you, I know you could fucking get there. I'm so excited by the prospect of you finding that. I really am. Because I think you're an absolute force of nature. And I think once you connect to those things and you connect to the complete Tori package, Tori, I'm going to say your name again, Tori Spelling. Mm-hmm. I think you're
twice now, and I felt okay with it.
I think you're going to be.
We're making progress.
Yeah, we are.
Unstoppable. I really do.
I thank you for sharing what you just shared, because I wonder how many people out there, especially in the day and age of social media, try to, they go out there, they post a picture, they post a few pictures, or they do a video, and when they get feedback, when the numbers come and they see, okay, this didn't work, that didn't work, but that got more likes, that got more comments, so that's what people want from me. That's what they want to see of me, so that's what I'm going to be. And they end up, maybe that is a part of them, but they end up showing just that part. And the more you practice that, the more you do it, the more you record, the more pictures you take, the more you become that. And I just wonder, and I'm kind of excited by it, if you practice more of the vulnerability and being smart, whatever that means to you, right? Not just smart and funny or whatever, and put more of that front and center, how much permission that gives other people. Not even just about you, about other people listening to that and watching that and seeing that and modeling that for them, so they can go, you know what? I can do this too. I cannot just be in the feedback loop of what people want from me, that Donna Martin, whatever that was, smart, giggly, kind of funny.
Right.
But that's just a facet of my diamond.
Fucking lead by example, man. You're 51. You have so much time ahead of you. Who do you want to be now? And be that example that other people see, where they go, man, she fucking made it. You had stuff just like everybody has stuff. and you pulled yourself up out of it in such a positive, incredible way for people to see. And you became such a great example for people to go, oh, don't run from your insecurities or your feelings or your things. Like, just fucking wear them proudly.
Own your shit, yeah. And shit happens. It's going to continue to happen to everyone. There's ebbs and flows.
This is life, man. It's going to do this.
Yeah.
Who do you want to fucking be through it all? It's to
humbling.
Me, it's the only thing that I have control over. It's not this. It's who I am through all of it.
Consistency.
Yeah. Like, do I want to be the dude that is known for like, oh, when shit gets crazy, he gets crazy? Or do I want to be someone where people go, no matter what, doesn't mean I can't feel sad or feel extremely happy or feel emotions through that, but I'm still consistently me. People know what they're going to get. Like, and that's the thing I think that I have control over.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to replace the word smart with clever.
Great.
Okay.
Clever.
I'm clever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Be clever in all aspects.
Hey guys, I'm super clever.
Yes.
All right.
Super clever.
Oldish boot camp right here.
I'm super clever.
Because you know what's funny about that? I like that you reframe that, because smart for so many people goes back to that association of in school not being good at math, or a teacher saying something, or a peer saying something, or a parent, and all of a sudden you hear smart and you're like, I'm
I don't
fit.
I don't fit.
Or you
that.
compare and you see other students, they did better than you.
And
So
that's
then you
me.
go through life going, I'm not smart, which is not true. It is just...
I went through that in a simple way with one of my kids who was like, I just didn't understand math and was like, I'm not smart. And I was like, we'll get you a tutor. Like,
Right.
it has nothing to do with you being smart. It's that you literally do not have the tools that you need to fully understand what it is is being taught to you and that you can learn from. And now, head of the class. Head of the
Amazing.
class. Had nothing to do with smart. So I love that word, clever.
But
It's a
that
good one.
sticks with us from childhood, and education is a huge,
Yeah.
unfortunately,
Sure.
a component that like really drives you the rest of your life. And it's that thing, like, you just go back to that childhood experience of like thinking, well, I didn't do well in that. And I mean, it's great nowadays. You have a choice of where your kids go, if you choose to go more of the academic route or more. And Bri, you helped me through this because my kids, we went the more like creative route and speaking to their passions. And that's where a lot of mine, I have some that are, super great at math, super great at science. And okay, but I have some that are like, their brains, all of our brains work differently and all of our emotions work differently. And you can't put us all in one class and then judge us from how we perform.
You can't have one way of parenting and expect that it's going to work when you have
Exactly.
multiple kids. You have to learn the style and the framing that works the best with each one. Because it's completely unique.
Yeah, I think school's the same.
Completely unique.
Right.
Yeah.
Schools.
Education,
Exactly.
like the whole experience of it has to be custom tailored to each person, because it's shocking what people can do if you really pay attention to what serves them the best and you offer that. Oh man, people just soar.
Yeah.
But it's a tough one, and I feel like I don't know. Hopefully, it changes one day. But it's still something we all battle. I mean, my kids, for instance, go to public school, and I have 5 kids, so you don't have an opportunity to ever kind of what is the wording? Make their individualize their education. It's not
Right.
completely an option.
Right.
And I don't know if private school always has individualized.
Not always, right?
But it
I
is a
found
good
tutoring
point.
to be the best because it's a
Yeah.
one-on-one like learning system. So it's like a good tutor will pay attention to what each child responds well to and then figure out a way of teaching in the best way to connect the child and it's done wonders.
Yeah. It's really
because
helpful. It's really helpful.
You know, teachers don't have that kind of time in school. They have a class with, even if it's only 10 kids, it's still 10 kids. So it's like to say, everybody got this, can I move on? And the kid that doesn't have it, not wanting to feel like a dummy in the class, is like, I got it. And then all of a sudden they're now 20 things behind because they've been saying, I got it for so long.
Exactly. And confidence is such a big piece.
Confidence is the biggest piece.
Both kids and adults.
Absolutely.
Is
Absolutely
confidence.
is. Yeah.
I mean, the crux of how I work with people, if you're like, what is one thing that you would say? I'm like, the umbrella is confidence. It's self-esteem. It's self-worth. It's reframing things. It's eliminating more of the negative self-talk and how you speak to yourself. So, yeah, it's huge. A couple questions before we move to the bonus.
Okay.
Who is Tori 2.0?
Oh, I thought this was a group question.
Right.
I mean, Brian can answer, but
I was like, yay, what do you guys think? Oh, it's me. This is
I want to know from you, because we talked about past, we talked about what you're changing and whatnot, and I would love to know, like, future tripping, future vision.
Ooh.
Tori 2.0. Who is Tori 2.0? You get to create it in your cleverness however you want. You're the creatrix. You go for it.
Yeah.
I used to say, and this is going back, so you can see how long ago this was. Someone would be like, future tripping, like, what's your end goal? Because I'd be like, I'm a Jack/Jill of all trades, Tori of all trades. I can do this, I can do that. And people are always like, focus. You can only do one thing at a time. And then it's like, well, no, I have a lot of things I can do and I want to get it done. Then there's the time thing that you just don't have time. And then you have kids and you really don't have time because you're an Uber driver all day long. And just, I used to be like, oh, when people would be like, what is the future? What do you want to be? And I was like, I want to run a network. I used to always say that. And now there's not really a network. I want to run a streaming platform. No. I want to run my own life. There we go. I knew there was a reason I was thinking about running a network. Okay.
I want to run my own life.
I want to run my own life.
What does that look like?
That looks like me really being able to, and like, I always say it's producerally able to like step out of me and like see the situation. But I think it was just a coping mechanism, maybe from childhood, like just being able to be safe. And it's like easier to be like,
to control
I can
things.
see what the outside looks like and what they're seeing, so I can do this and handle it and make sure I'm okay and they feel okay about me. Yeah, that I'll be able to shut out the noise and be able to be like, I feel like I will do huge, sorry, I'm going to take back I feel, because we're not in therapy here. Kind of, we really are.
I told you that we go hard in the paint on the show. You're the one that asked. You were like, can I be on the show? I was like, okay.
He goes, we asked tough questions. And I was like,
How tough could they be?
Right, totally. Cut to.
Now you made me lose my train of thought.
Tori 2.0. That's the train of thought.
Wow, you guys, that was so cool to see that synchronicity at the same time.
Yeah.
Call back. Okay, so Tori 2.0. Tori 2.0. I'm able to
run your own life, you said.
Run my own life and run. There's so many things that I want to do. I want to replace want with I'm doing. Like, there's so many things I'm doing because I've spent years knowing, and this is something I know personally, I might put a cross that's like, oh, she's meek, she doesn't, she can't do this, she's shy, she can't. I actually, if I like really gut check, like know exactly what I can fucking do. Sorry. I know exactly what I can do.
This isn't network.
I know. Prime time pass is just like imprinted in my brain.
Right.
Get it out.
Standards and practices are going to be all over me for that one.
Yeah. I actually know exactly what I can do. It's just I've been the same recording in my head, like, oh, okay, well, I have this, but I don't have time to get it done. Or I can't execute it because I have the idea, but I'm just an idea person. So, I have to work for somebody else that has to finance it, that has to, going back to like networks or, there's always someone to, what's the word? Answer to. I want to answer to me. And if I answer to me, ultimately, I feel like I will be Tori 2.0 and be able to do everything that I could do, can do, will do. I'm doing. And it's just that old habit of keep yourself small so you don't upset the apple cart. Oldish. Sorry. No one says apple cart anymore, correct?
No, they don't.
Nope. They don't. I mean, I like the term. I like.
I'm going to upset the dragon fruit cart, you guys.
Sure. Yeah, okay.
Dragon fruit. What else is super popular?
Yes.
Acai bowl.
Yeah, there you go. Totally. For the kids. I've always kept myself small so I didn't upset anyone around me. And I'm only hurting myself keeping myself small because they are flourishing in their own, whether it's personal, it's business, and I am still going up, down that mountain. Like I want to climb to that mountain and own it and stand there and say, I deserve to climb up this mountain. I'm okay. Like I worked really hard to get to the top of this mountain and I'm just going to stay here.
Okay. So Tori 2.0 is deserving. Mm-hmm. She goes after what she wants.
She owns it.
She owns it, and she executes.
Mm-hmm.
She executes it.
Yeah.
Awesome. High five all around.
High five.
So I say now we get into our after the show stuff because I have some things that I want to discuss as far as current things that have happened. Shannon, I want to get into some stuff. But we've done so much here. So I want to thank everyone. I want to thank you first for being here.
Thank you,
the audience,
for coming.
And going along this ride with us because I know it's not easy. I know sometimes it can be a lot. I want to thank everyone.
I'm so proud of both of you. I love you both very much. You know that, but I'm so proud of both of you for owning your power and doing this. So.
Thank you.
Head on over to oldishpodcast.com and see what it is we have to offer. We have a few different tiers. If you didn't get a chance to watch this and you're only listening, guess what? You could have been watching. You just have to figure out which tier you want. It's pretty simple. So I say we head into after the show.
Let's do it. Point. Thanks, everyone.
Hey, if you're going through something right now, if you need additional support, then please reach out to me at randyspelling.com/help or go to my Instagram at randyspelling. Thanks.